Good morning, friends. Today we are going to start a new chapter, the chapter of statistics, chapter number 14. We are now done with the arithmetic progressions. We have also solved a lot of examples, but still, if you got any doubts, you can send your doubts to me. And now we are going to start the chapter on statistics. So, statistics was introduced to you in the ninth standard. I hope you do remember, but don't worry, even if you don't. We will start with the revision of the ninth standard and then we will slowly proceed to the 10th standard. So let us see what is statistics. The word statistics is derived from the Latin word status, which means a political state. So the ruler of a state needed to know the information about the citizens to facilitate governance. So when you have learned history, you must have read about the Todarmal system. Yes, it is a system of taxation. How Todarmal broke up the whole kingdom into many various parts, and depending on its fertility, he charged taxes differently. So when the data is available to you, you can analyze the data to take very good decisions. So in the same way, statistics was started for the political state to collect information about the citizens to facilitate governance. So governance needs a lot of data because decisions have to be taken. For example, we see in a country like India, there is so much diversity. So the data has to be collected and the decisions have to be taken in such a way that it benefits everyone. We'll come to that later on. So in a singular sense, statistics is a science which deals with the collection, presentation, analysis and interpretation of numerical data. In plural sense, statistics means numerical facts or observations collected with a definite purpose. So statistics in the plural sense means what? We are collecting data with a a definite purpose, but the data is collected by the observer. Okay, so in both the senses, what is important is the collection of the data, the presentation, analysis, and interpretation. Okay, so now statistics has been modified to become a branch of mathematics which deals with collection. Okay, so how do you collect data? There are many ways you can use to collect data. I'll give you an example. Today, all hospitals are collecting the data of COVID-19 patients with their background history, their age, their gender, where do they stay, everything. Now, what will happen? This data will be used by the hospitals or research scientists. They will classify the data and try to check whom this virus affects the most. Okay, which category of people recover earlier. Now, why this data is collected and analyzed? Yes, when the data is collected and analyzed, then lockdowns can be properly planned to prevent the spread of diseases. For example, if you see the news every day and read the tables, now we have converted or we have divided the whole country into a green zone, a orange zone, a red zone, and a containment zone. And there are different kind of restrictions in all the different kind of zones. Now, how the zones were made? These zones were made by the collection of data. The data was collected, classified, analyzed and interpreted, and then the whole region was divided into green zone, orange zone, red zone and containment zone, and decision was taken regarding to the restrictions and movements in this zone. So you see that the data is collected by the hospitals, but the analysis is done by statistical analysts. That data, analyzed data, is provided to the doctors, and the doctors will help the government to take the decision. So the collection of data may be done directly or indirectly at one point. It is sent to specialists to be analyzed and classified. Then that classified data is sent to the specialists like doctors and bureaucrats, the collectors and all, and based on that data, proper decisions are taken. So statistics is playing a very important role today in all the industries in society. But right now, with this corona pandemic, the use of statistics has become very important to prevent the spread of disease and to arrange the lockdown. So I hope you have got a rough idea how statistics is very important to us. So we are going to start with the basics now. Now data. Data is the observation or information for a definite purpose. It can be numerical or non-numerical. For example, the age, the weight, the height of the patient is numerical data. Yes, the name is non-numerical data. The gender, male or female, is non-numerical data. So the temperature, weight, height is numerical data, while the name and the gender is non-numerical data. Primary data is the data collected by the investigator, one person or a team for a definite plan. A secondary is not collected directly, but is taken from other sources. For example, from all the hospitals, the data which is being collected by the government can be called secondary data. The doctors in the hospital or the people in the hospital are collecting the data is primary, but from all the hospitals, the analysts are collecting the data which we can call secondary data. Now, all this data which is collected initially is in the raw form. So to make use of it, we have to put it in the proper form. Initially, all the data is in raw form. Now remember this corona pandemic example I have given you that collects a lot of data and in many different forms and the patterns are different. So that data what I'm talking about is about the whole country, but that will be too huge a data and special tools are needed for the interpretation of that data. We are not going into detail right now. We'll start with the basic things. But if you do take up commerce in 11th or 12th, in 11th, 12th, then you will have statistics as a subject and there you will learn more and better tools for classification of data. Here we are going to simple statistics which can be useful for everyone. So now come to presentation of data. Presentation of data means to present or organize the collected data in a simple form which can be easily analyzed and interpreted by the user of data. So data when is collected is raw data. So you have to arrange the data. Now a simple way of arranging data is in ascending or descending order. You can put all the data which you collected numerical data in ascending or descending order. If it is non-numerical data, you can put it in alphabetical order A to Z or Z to A. Now we have learnt in the ninth that the data can be discrete data, discrete frequency distribution of ungrouped data and group frequency distribution. These are the three things we did in the ninth. We'll revise one more time, you don't have to worry. But keep an idea in your mind how we are starting with the statistics. So first thing is collection of data. The collection of data can be done by questionnaires. Today there are online Google forms, people ask you questions, the marks in your test, your attendance in school is all a type of data. The books you collect from the library to read or the amount of books you read in a month is all data which can be used and interpreted in different ways. So we'll go to discrete data. Discrete data is the data in the form of numbers either arranged or not. So it is numerical or non-numerical, may be arranged or not be arranged. I've given example, we have taken maths as an example here. Yes, the example is the number of sums done by a student every day in a week. So this is a imaginary thing I have taken, but you can also collect your own data. For example, the child does 8 sums on Monday, 5 sums on Tuesday, 12 on Wednesday, 9 on Thursday, 6 on Friday and 14 on Saturday. So these are the number of sums a student does in a week. When the number of observations are less, you can see there are only 6 observations here. Discrete data is an easy form of presentation. So when the data is lesser, you can always write in separated by commas. This is only 6 observations and this discrete data can be easily shown, yes, by use of commas. But what happens when the data is larger? So when the number of observations are more, but they are repeating, then we can arrange the discrete data in a frequency distribution. Now I've expanded the example. We had the number of sums done by a student during a week. Now I've taken the number of sums done by a student during a month. So I have also included Sundays. In the previous week, I left out Sunday, only 6 days of the week, but in the month I've included Sundays also, so total days have become 30. Now on the first the child does 8 sums, on the second he does 5, on the third does he 12, and we are going so on. What I've done first, below you can see, I have rearranged the data. I have rearranged the data. So you can see the data has been arranged here below 0, 555, 666. So the data is put in the ascending order. It is easier, but one easy way is this table. So I hope you can see this table now. This is an easier way to do things. I have written the number of sums. There are 0 sums, 5 sums done, 6 sums done, and the number of days. There were 0 sums only on one day. On 3 days, 5 sums were done. On 4 days, 6 sums were done. On 4 days, 7 sums were done. On 5 days, 8 sums were done. So this is the number of sums done per day called the data, and this is the number of days called the frequency. Frequency means how often an event occurs. So we have got 0 occurs only once, and we have 12 occurs 5 times. So here we have converted the discrete data into discrete frequency distribution. If you can see, this table is much easier to read than the discrete data. So we had raw data. That data was arranged in an ascending order, and much better we made a table called the discrete frequency distribution, where we have got the data xi and the frequency fi. So using that too, we have formed a table, and you can see the sum of the data is the total reading. So we have 30 readings. So when you add the frequency, you get the number 30. Then when the data is much more than that, now here the example we have taken is the marks obtained by 40 students in a test out of 50. So these are the different marks shown here. Now the data is increasing, the tables become bigger. So to make the tables smaller and easily readable, we have converted the data into a group now. So what is the group? You can see 0 to 10 has made one group, 10 to 20 is another group, 20 to 30 is another, 30 to 40, and 40 to 50. So we have converted all the raw data into 5 groups now, and we have seen and arranged the days. Sorry, it is not the days now, it is the marks. There is a mistake here. It is not the days but the marks. So 3 students are getting, that is number of students, 3 students are getting marks between 0 and 10, 8 are getting between 10 and 20, 14 are getting between 20 and 30, 10 are getting between 30 and 40, and 5 are getting between 40 and 50. But the total number of students, if you add up, these are the 40 students who have given a test between of 50 marks. So this is a group frequency distribution. How is it helpful to us? It is helpful because we have broken up a big table into and made it a smaller table, much more easier to read. So this is a group frequency distribution. So what have you seen? Discrete data can be shown very easily. Then we have a discrete frequency distribution when data is being repeated. But when the number of observations keeps on increasing, the tables become bigger in size. To make it easily observable, we make a group frequency distribution where all the readings are arranged in groups. So this you also did in the 9th standard. I hope you remember this. Yes, this was the group frequency distribution. So now we have done 3 types of data. Try to re-see the slides and arrange in complete detail. Begin from the very basic, the type of data. The first data was discrete data, where all the observations are written with a comma, separating by a comma. The second was discrete frequency distribution. The data is put in a table form with the frequency. The third one now is a grouped frequency distribution where the data is arranged in groups with the number of the frequency, yeah, how it is occurring. So now once we know the types of data, once we have learned to arrange the data, then we can move on further. Now the previous table was 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. This is called an inclusive form. What is it called? An inclusive form. And the table below, it goes 1 to 10, and from 10 it jumps to 11, 11 to 20, from 20 it jumps to 21. So this is discontinuous form, also called exclusive form. Now remember, very important, your 10 is inclusive. Okay, so suppose you got a reading 10, then the reading is not put in this group with a high frequency, the reading is taken in this group. Remember, so if you got a reading called 10, it is not put into 0 to 10 group, it is put in the 10 to 20 group. So you have got inclusive form, the continuous form, and the exclusive form, the discontinuous form. Now sometimes we have to make the discontinuous form into continuous form. So that is also the next part. If you have got a table in the exclusive form or discontinuous form, how will you convert it into inclusive form? Okay, so we will see how it is done. Have you understood the inclusive form and the exclusive form, continuous and discontinuous? Now we'll see how to convert a discontinuous form into a continuous form. So we have this 1 to 10 and 10 to 11, then 20 to 21. So there is a jump of how much? So if you do 21 minus 20, or you do 11 minus 10, you will see there is a jump of 1. So divide that jump of 1 into half, so you get 0.5. Means you have to increase this by 0.5 and you have to decrease this by 0.5. There is a jump from 10 to 11. There is a jump from 10 to 11. 10 to 11 is a jump of 1. Dividing by 2 we get 0.5. So all the upper limits are added 0.5. All the lower limits are subtracted 0.5. So you will get now 1 minus 0.5 is 0.5 and 10 plus 0.5 is 10.5. 11 minus 0.5 is 10.5. So now you can see here this ends at 10.5 and this begins at 10.5. Again you need to remember, if you have a reading called 10.5, it does not come in this table. Yes, it comes in this class. So this is how we convert a discontinuous form into a continuous form. Is it clear to you? It is very important. In the further sums you will have to make use of this. So again, one more time we revise. We have discrete data, discrete frequency distribution, group frequency distribution in an inclusive form and an exclusive form. Yes, a continuous form and a discontinuous form, and we can convert a discontinuous form into a continuous form. So this is the basic idea of data, the collection of data, and we have done the presentation of the data. Now what we will do is the classification of the data and the interpretation. So now we move to measures of central tendency. The measures of central tendency represents the entire data. So we saw the number of sums a child does in a month. Okay, but if I want to tell somebody or want to tell their parents how many sums the child is doing, I will not say he was doing 6 sums on Monday and 10 sums on Tuesday and 13 on Wednesday and 2 on Friday. What I will tell the parents, the child on an average is doing 9 sums per day. So that becomes easier for the parent to understand. The parent can see that an average of 9 sum means sometimes the child is doing more than 9, sometimes the child is doing less than 9, but the average of the child is 9. So that average is called mean or arithmetic mean, but sometimes we don't use mean, we use median or we use a mode. So the mean, median and mode are measures of central tendency, and remember the measures of central tendency represent the entire data. So when we say the spread of the coronavirus is 3.5 per day, what does the average of 3.5 per day means? Now the average can be over a week, over a month, over 3 months. But average 3.5 means per day the spread of corona is 3.5 person per person. Yes, means sometimes the spread is more than 3.5, sometimes the spread is less than 3.5. On an average the spread is 3.5. So today we are going to do the first one, that is mean. Okay, so mean will find of discrete data, of discrete frequency distribution and group frequency distribution. Now what is mean of a discrete data? What is mean? The formula says sum of the observations upon number of observations. So the example I had taken was the number of sums done by a student, yes, every day in a week. So we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. So I will call this reading 8 as x1, 5 is x2 the second reading, 12 is x3, 9 is x4, 6 is x5, 14 is x6. So the general formula is, how do you find the mean? Sum of the observations, add x1, x2 up to xn upon the total number, that is n. Also written as sigma. Now remember, sigma means summation. Okay, how it is written? Sigma I equal to 1 means the data should start from x1. I means 1. I starts from 1. So xi means starts from x1 and should go up to xn. Okay, so remember this formula, mean x bar equal to sigma xi upon n. Now in this sum I have got how many observations? 6. So I have to add all the 6 observations and divide by 6. So I have added here 8 plus 5 plus 12 plus 9 plus 6 plus 14, that is 54, and 54 upon 6 gives me 9. So in this example, the average sums a student does per week is 9. Sometimes he does 8 less than 9, sometimes he does 5 less than 9, sometimes he does 12 more than 9. So when I tell the parent the child is doing on an average 9 sums per week, it becomes easier for the parent to understand. Yes, so this is the idea of mean of discrete data. Remember the formula again, x bar equal to sigma xi upon n. This was done in the 9th standard. Okay, and now we move on to the 10th standard, the mean of discrete frequency distribution. Now what I've shown you here is, like the 9th standard, I wrote the discrete frequency distribution. Okay, and you can use the formula, these are 30 readings. You can add all the 30 readings and divide by 30 and you will get your answer, you will get the mean. Okay, you can do it, this is also a method, you can do it, you can add all these 30 numbers and divide by 30 and you will get the mean. Or you can arrange in the ascending order like this. Yes, you can see what is done and then add it. Now 0 will remain 0. Now 5 and 5 and 5 3 times, the total has become how much? 15. Then you have got 6 and 6 and 6 4 times. What is the total? 24. Yes. Then we have 7 4 times. What is the total? 28. So what you have to do, you have to add all this data and divide by 30. Now since we made a frequency distribution, we have made the mathematics simpler. How? You can see this 0 can be also found out by 0 1s are 0 1s are 0 and 5 3s are 15. So can you see this 15 is the same as this 15. So once you have arranged the frequency, what is given here? Fi xi means multiply Fi, F1 with x1, F2 with x2, F3 with x3. So this is F1 into x1, 1 into 0 is 1. This is F2 into x2, 5 is a 15. And this is F3, 4 into x3, 6 was at 24 and so on. So now your numerator becomes what? fi f1 x1 plus f2 x2 up to fn xn. So how we write in short form now? Sigma of fi xi. Remember fi xi means what? First you multiply f1 with x1, then f2 with x2, then f3 with x3 up to fn to xn, and then you add them up to get the sigma. And below you add up these frequencies, all these frequencies. Yes, these frequencies, and you will get your total number of readings. Here the total number of readings is 30. So now the formula is x bar equal to sigma fi xi upon sigma fi. And the answer is now sigma fi xi is 259 upon sigma fi is 30. So 259 upon 30 is almost 8.63. Is it clear to you? So the first formula in 9th we did x bar equal to sigma xi upon n. In the 10th we did the formula, which one? X bar equal to sigma fi xi upon sigma fi. This is for discrete frequency distribution. And the third one we did today was mean of group frequency distribution. So we have made a group here. Now we are going to use the same formula, sigma fi xi upon sigma fi. But what you can see, we have a fi, but we do not have an xi. Instead, we have a class. So how will we find out the xi from this class? So the formula written here, the class mark xi is upper class limit plus lower class limit upon 2. So what is the upper class limit here? Sorry, lower class limit is 0, upper class limit is 10. What is 10 plus 0? 10. And divide by 2 will give you 5. Again, 10 plus 20 gives you 30, divide by 2 gives you 15. So when the xi is not given, from the class you can find out the xi. Once you do that, then the formula remains the same. So again, sigma fi xi after multiplication added and sigma fi. So we get 1060 upon 40 or 26.5 is the answer. So here the what was the sum? The marks obtained by different students. So the average of this class is 26.5. So this method is also called the direct method. Okay. So in a group frequency distribution, what are you given? You are given the class and you are given the frequency. From this class, you will find out the corresponding xi, and once you do that, the formula then remains the same, fi xi upon sigma fi. Okay, so we have done 3 formulas today. First of all, from the 9th we started, we understood the types of data, discrete frequency distribution and group frequency distribution, and today we learned how to find the mean. In 9th we had x bar equal to sigma xi upon n. Now we have x bar equal to sigma fi xi upon n for discrete frequency distribution. If it is a group frequency distribution, then we will have to find the xi from the class mark. How do you do that? The formula upper class limit plus lower class limit upon 2. So you get the xi and then you know the formula. Now since we have done this, I think you can start with exercise 14.1 and check out the sums based on the mean. Okay, which method? Only the direct method. Today we have done only the direct method. Now we are going to do the assumed mean method, and the next method is the step deviation method or shortcut method. So we have done only the direct method today, one formula from the 9th and the direct method. So we'll continue now next time, tomorrow that is, we'll continue. I want you to learn this very well. Only put in your mind, what you need to understand in detail is first the types of data. And then if you understand the types of data, then which formula to use with which type of data you will easily know. So if it is discrete data, x bar equal to sigma xi upon n. If it is a group frequency distribution or a discrete frequency distribution, sigma equal to fi xi upon sigma fi. If it is a frequency distribution, discrete frequency, you have the xi and the fi. If it is a group frequency distribution, you are given the class, and from the class you have to find out the xi by which formula? Upper class limit plus lower class limit upon 2. Okay, revise it thoroughly and I will see you tomorrow. Try to do some sums on your own. Okay, thank you.